So back in 2012, I ended up going on about 40 first dates, and they didn't start out very well, but by the end of it, I got pretty good, and I developed a bit of like a system, a routine, things I noticed that just worked for me, and this is what I'm going to go over today. It's basically all for going out for drinks. That's mostly what I did, although sometimes it was out for like coffee or whatever. But yeah, let's get to it. So the first part, pretty obvious. Look good, get a haircut, choose clothes that actually fit. A lot of guys don't actually do that. Like at least when you're going to buy clothes, just try on, the size above and below what you would normally, think would fit. Just like starting from there, and realize that like different stores, different sizes, even like inches that's being like put on jeans can differ from store to store, which is kind of messed up. You think that wouldn't change. It's just inches for like a waist or whatever. But anyways, I have a buddy that used to always do some like push-ups or whatever before a date. You don't have to go that far, but so choose the best place to go. I mean, again, it does a bit depend on, maybe if you're younger and you can't go for drinks, or maybe she's not of age. Choose somewhere halfway. I eventually ended up kind of having a bar in every town that I really liked. So I don't like sit down restaurants for the most part. I mean, it took like at least a dozen dates before I got really comfortable on them. And the idea of just sitting directly, like it's basically an interview where you're facing them down, you're staring at them, you're worried about any lulls in the conversation. Bah, that sucks. Especially like it's even that much more intense on like a nice restaurant. But if you go to a bar, you can literally just go sit up at the bar. It's not a big deal. She can sit beside you. Suddenly, it's just that much more casual, that much more relaxed. You're not facing her down. If there's like a game on, you can like it's not super unnatural and awkward when there's like a bit of lull in the conversation, because you're just not always going to be able to talk the whole time. So yeah, you don't need like a typical dinner date romantic shit. The first date is really just you're vetting them. You're like, you don't want an expensive date or do anything fun, even although that's not that bad. But it's really to vet them. You want it to be quick as well. I'll get to why in a second. But so before the date, just confirm it. Women can be flaky. That's, you're if you're meeting from like online dating, you're a stranger, so it's reasonable that they might be hesitant to come meet you. So the day before, just confirm it, or just confirm like a time if you haven't nailed that down, and then mention you have something you need to do afterward, and you do this to help the flakiness. There's just that much. I mean, a lot of women you might meet online dating or wherever it may be, maybe they haven't been on a date in a while. Again, there's a lot of pressure. It's awkward. I know a lot of guys try to like go for like the kiss, or try to do this or try to do that. Skip all that shit. You don't want to do that on the first date. Unless this girl is like interested in potentially hooking up, and she's just like, you're confident that she's that type of girl. Like, okay, that's a whole different thing, and that's fine. And you can screen for that type of woman. But for the most part, any like normal date, you're going to just want to keep it short, keep it just brief. And if you say you have something to do afterward, and that like, okay, you meet at 5 and you have to leave at like 6:45 or something like that, that's going to give her a lot more comfort that she knows it's just going to be a drink or two, and then that's it. So tell her, I mean, you could just tell her you have to do something for work, or you have to some family thing. It doesn't really matter. But just understand you're there for her sake and your sake, to just see if you guys click. I knew somebody that just went on a date 2 days ago, and they went to like an expensive, well, I don't know how much it was, but it was a Canucks game, and she ended up not liking him because he was too skinny. And not that I doubt he was even that skinny, but she just happens to like bigger, bulkier guys. And, you know, that's something that you just don't know. You know, you don't really, you just want to just see if there's some baseline compatibility, if you like each other. And then, you know, second date, if you want, you can do something more expensive, like a Canucks game or whatever the hell it may be. So when you want to meet her, I'm obviously not for, you know, pushing, you know, pickup lines or any lines of what you want to say, but it is good to have something in the back of your mind, because there is those lulls in the conversation. And, you know, fortunately drinks do help. And you probably, I mean, if it's your first date, you might be, you know, within like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, it might be a little awkward or whatever. But for the most part, you know, conversations got flowing. I've never had a date that ended awkward for the most part. I mean, maybe I pushed it out of my memory, but it should be smooth sailing. You shouldn't need to have, you know, a bunch of topics at the back of your mind, but for the most part, it's fine to have a couple things to rely on, just in case, things you're curious about. Something that I like to do is just at some point ask her about like TV shows or movies or something, and then when she mentions something that she likes to watch, or a movie that she likes, I'll say I haven't seen it, and then for like the third date, I will use that as an excuse for her to come over to my place and watch it, because I'll say I haven't seen it, we should see that, and then it's easy peasy than just like saying Netflix and chill, because that's a bit too direct. But so yeah, I mean, if it's like online dating, maybe scan through a profile and see something that you could bring up, maybe something relative that you previously talked about that you can mention, maybe something funny, anything along those lines. After that, yeah, so go sit up at the bar, so get there a bit before her, so you can like not choose an actual table, and then just let her know that you're there, that you're up at the bar, and you can just get a drink going or whatever. When she shows up, I mean, you don't even have to get up or anything. You can just look at her and smile, wave at her if she's like scanning the room for you or whatever. I wouldn't do like hugs or anything like that. It's kind of weird. It's like they're a stranger, even though you're wanting to, you know, push things forward. It's at least what I do. Handshakes are kind of like awkward too, because it's not like a business interview thing going on. And so, I mean, in terms of like how to like hold yourself, how to act, it's cliche as hell to say be yourself, but it is important to be yourself. If you try to act in a way that you think she likes, you just won't be comfortable. You'll be distracted. I mean, that's essentially what I did when I started. I would try to think of like, you know, how would a cool person or a smooth guy end up, you know, responding to what she's saying or what she's doing. And, you know, they want to get to know you. Like, your actual personality needs to come out. And, you know, you want to get to know them. You wouldn't want them to try to act in a way that they think that you like. That doesn't make any sense. So it just takes time. It just takes time. Like, don't worry about it. After you go on a half dozen dates or so, you'll get a lot better at it. You know, like maybe like if you had to try to conceptualize how to talk, maybe think of like best friends trying to catch up. Like you know, when you're with your buddy, like you're a really good buddy, like you're just completely relaxed and there's like no filter. I wouldn't say maybe no filter, especially if you have a dark sense of humor or anything like that. But, you know, just like it just becomes that much easier for her to do the same, to just like let her guard down, because, you know, she's just going to feel more comfortable with you when she knows who you are and what you're like. And so show her that. And yeah, so don't do anything sexual, no touching, for the most part. I mean, you can hug when you leave, I guess, but I typically don't do that. Well, maybe sometimes. And then, yeah, so like, yeah, 60 to 90 minutes. around then, say you have that thing to do, she probably knows like what you're doing by doing that. Like, I mean, it's generally a good thing. If you don't do it, I think a lot of the time, or if I hadn't said, I have to bail at 6:30 when we meet up at 5 or whatever, that a lot of girls are going to do the same thing. I personally always offer to pay. I mean, again, it's like short, so it's like a drink. Sometimes they agree. Sometimes I've had one girl end up paying for me because we ended up talking, and I had mentioned I wasn't really working at that time. That was nice of her. Yeah, so don't go for the kiss. You don't know if she likes you, so the second date, I mean, yeah, sure, if you want, but this is a first date video. That I guess I can get into that. Second date, I usually like to do something fun, easy. Again, it can go back to your place, maybe if you're like really hitting it off or whatever. Third dates, usually when I say like, okay, that movie or TV show that we had mentioned, as an excuse to get back. That's it. I mean, coffee dates work the same. They're just a bit shorter. Make sure you look good. Say you have to leave at a certain time to deter flakiness. Doesn't matter what you drink. I generally will order the same amount of drinks as her, which is like 1 or 2. I don't think I've ever had more than that. I had a weird thing where like any girl, it only happened twice, but any one of them that ended up ordering food was willing to put out quickly. I have no idea if that's like, if there's something there, but and yeah, so like fluff talk in the beginning is fine too. Don't be like, you'll get there, just build it up. You don't have to, turn her on or whatever. Like it's just very cordial. It's just like you're chill, you're friendly, casual, laid back. That's kind of the vibe you want, but don't think too much about it. Don't like distract yourself. Try to be in the moment. And that's it. Recognize whatever happens, that like going on the date is an experience, and that's like, you don't necessarily have to develop huge systems like me, but you have to understand like there is like some linear progress, and a date failing or just things not working out with a girl isn't like that bad. It's like, okay, well, you're actually learning and you're actually like improving, and you were better than where you were yesterday, and that's what you should be focusing on instead of just like one circumstance. Because like, think about that guy that I had mentioned that went on the date that was like too skinny, even though he's probably not too skinny, he just wasn't big enough. Now if he ended up like, he's probably ghosted by the girl I know now, and he might be like racking his brain like, what the hell did I do wrong? It could have gone smoothly, they could have like hit it off, but then she's just not attracted to him. So you just kind of like, he should just brush it off, because it's not his fault. It's just how it is. I mean, sometimes you just don't know. I mean, I don't think, because they met through like online dating, maybe he could have had better pictures, but that's something else. But like, the point is like, a lot of it's out of your control. So don't, there can be some things that are in your control, certainly things you can improve. Be aware and mindful of that, but don't go crazy and criticize yourself, because you just need more experience for the most part. And yeah, so after those 40 dates, I mean, it's funny because I've been thinking of them. I knew I hit 40, but I don't really remember them because it was a long time ago. That's over 10 years, but I think I slept with like a dozen of them. My success rates on dates and everything got like significantly better, probably like doubled. And I'm pretty sure that I developed a reputation, I assume, at like a certain bar, because I would go on a certain day, usually at this certain pub that's close by my house. And it would almost always be like the same like bartender there. But yeah, so I mean, part of the reason why I don't remember a lot of the dates too is kind of like with rejections, with cold approaching. I like, which is really, really cool because if you're cold approaching, and if you don't know what that is, it's essentially just going up to women randomly in a public space and being polite, talking to them, and trying to get their number. When you're starting out, well, it's always incredibly hard, until you can kind of just push through it. But when starting out, the rejections can be kind of daunting, can be intimidating. Sometimes it's a bit harsh, and if you can really let it get to you. But the cool thing is, unless maybe I have some memory loss that is happening with me, but I don't remember. I really struggle to remember a lot of the rejections, which is really cool because I've done like hundreds of them. I have to like really think about like the mall, different areas, different stores. I'm like, oh yeah, I got rejected there. Oh yeah, I got rejected there. And I think like the failures on dates, it's like the same thing. It's like I just moved on, and I'd have to like think of them. So it's kind of good to know that it's likely going to be the same case for you, that if things don't go well, it's not going to be, you're not going to remember it because it's just not relevant. And the things, the girls where things do go well, you will likely hold on to that for some time. But good luck on your date. Hopefully you don't need 40 of them to get good at it, but maybe this will cut down some of that time that it takes. Peace.